Pain can be really hard to identify in dogs because most of them, they're not going to let us know there's something painful until it's really pretty bad. Hey, marvelous mutt moms and devoted dog dads. I'm Dr. Heather. I'm a holistic vet. And this week I am pulling a question out of my Happy Hairy Holistic Pets with Dr. Heather Facebook group, where a member asked me, I'm in a Jack Russell group and I saw this dog sitting like this. I'll put a picture in. I know if they start sitting certain ways, it can mean that they're in pain. And I suggested the dog may be in pain, but she said, no, this is normal for a Jack Russell. Is it? Well, this brings up one of my favorite topics, normal versus common. I should make a game show. Some dysfunction in animals has become so incredibly common as we now consider it normal. One of my favorite examples is with the extreme brachycephalic breeds, the dogs that have the very, very short snouts like pugs or Frenchies. When they pant with curled tongues, their owners say that that's normal for the breed. Well, it's not normal. Dogs cool themselves by using their nasal passages, and when they're fanning their tongues out and they're curling up, that's because they're at risk of overheating. Read my blog post on that if you haven't, because it's a really good one on how to prevent overheating in your dog. So these dogs with these super short snouts, they can't cool themselves efficiently. And so their struggle to get cool is now considered normal. Let's get back to the question. Posture matters, whether you're sitting or standing. A normal, balanced sit posture, what I'm going to call a square sit, is a dog that has their butt down and they're sitting on the front of their sit bones, and their hips and stifles or knees and their hocks or tarsi are bent. Their hocks, which is their ankle, is touching the ground, and their lower limb, their metatarsals, are also flat on the ground, as are their feet and their paw pads. And they're pointing directly forward towards their front feet. That's a square sit. That's not my opinion. That's not for aesthetics or the show ring. The square sit posture allows a dog to then easily and quickly rise and go running off towards, well, if you're a Jack Russell, a rat. It also allows them to easily settle down into a Sphinx pose if they want to do that. So it sets them up as a balance point to do whatever next action they might want to do. Any deviation from this posture suggests that there's either weakness or pain or both. End of story. Poor posture can come from pain, and it can be musculoskeletal, back, hip, knee, hock, but it could also be anal glands. If that dog had impacted anal glands, they wouldn't want to bear weight on that part of their body. The difference between pain and weakness is that we can train out of weakness. We can train them to be stronger. If it's pain, if you're trying to teach a dog how to sit squarely and they're just not getting it, that might be your cue to make an appointment with your general practice vet, or maybe even an orthopedic specialist, to look for some sort of pain or dysfunction. Because dogs, even Jack Russells, I actually think they want to work with us. Don't tell them I told you that, though. Pain can be really hard to identify in dogs because most of them, they're not going to let us know there's something painful until it's really pretty bad. So small dogs get certain orthopedic challenges, and very commonly in their stifles, which is the knee. And one of the more common dysfunctions that they can get in that joint is called luxating patellas. Your patella is your kneecap. So your kneecap should sit in a groove between your lower thigh bone and slide easily up and down. You could play around with your me at another time and see what I'm talking about. If the ligaments that are holding it in place are a little loose, it can slide and wobble, kind of like a door that's not quite square on the door frame. So it's a little hard to push and pull. In the beginning, that might be a structural problem, but over time, you're going to cause inflammation and probably joint damage. And then you're going to have osteoarthritis. This little dog's posture shows us this dog isn't bending properly at the hips or the stifles or the hocks. So I don't know where the problem is originating, or even in the back, because they might be rounding their back because it hurts for them to sit up squarely. So, another common way to sit for a Jack Russell is to sit with their legs off to the side. My personal terrier, Juniper, she has a tendency to sit that way, especially when I slack off on my square sit conditioning. That's kind of her default. I know I'm slacking off when she starts sitting that way again. If the dog is unable to sit squarely, again, it's likely that there's either pain or a structural problem. That's the time to make an appointment with your veterinarian, maybe even an orthopedic specialist, to figure out what's going on. Again, we'd like to address these problems when they're small and maybe even laughable. Haha, that's how a Jack Russell sits. Let's address it now and not later when the dog has so much pain and dysfunction that they can hardly walk. Reward the square sit when you're training, right? Because the dog will get the hang of it if it's only weakness. Remember, we are what we practice. We are what we do every day, whether we're a person or a dog. So I hope that makes sense. Join my group. You can ask me questions like this and I'll answer you personally. And also check out my website, drheather.vet. I have added a new tab now. It's a lab test tab. I am offering some wonderful advanced laboratory testing so that you can really get to the root of whatever is ailing your dog, whether it's gut health or inflammation or ears, even a hair test to see if they've got too much toxic mineral or heavy metal buildup. drheather.vet, there's a lab test banner along the top, and I will see you out on the interwebs.